I really believe, especially duplexes. Like I would just say, flip the single, but if you get a duplex and above, you really need to look at holding that, right? And getting that rental income coming in. Are most of your clients doing flips or holds, or are you about 50-50?
I'd say about 50-50, and it varies like month to month. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. I'd say it's that same split you talked about. Most of the people are holding their multi-units and flipping their single families.
Yeah,
or they sell the
definitely.
single family so they can get a bigger acquisition. They
Yeah,
want to
they're
move
moving
into
up.
apartments. And the reason why you only talk to two, because there are only two that speak English, probably. Well, the person that only speaks to two from Pakistan, we have to actually like use software to even communicate with them. It's crazy. So money is universal. Like they don't speak our language, but they over here making money.
Yeah, yeah. I think that there's been like a stigma of Detroit for a long time, where people did not see it as the land of milk and honey, if you will, that they saw it as, dangerous. Is it really good deals there? And I think that stigma has kept a lot of people away. In addition to their credit, I do want to ask you this. What nobody really knows. If I had to guess what's going to happen with the mortgage rates, I think they're going to go down some. If I had to guess over the next quarter, I'm looking at what's happening with Deep Seek right now, Chinese AI coming up, shaking up the tech industry. And, it's going to be interesting to see how President Trump plays this with China. Is he going to play team with them, or is he still going to, because it's had a whole ripple effect? If you had to guess, Star, and Shakira, you can weigh in on this too, but being a mortgage broker, Star, what do you think? Do you think rates are going to stay about where they are? You think they're going to go up a little bit, or do you think they're going to come down a little bit?
Both. I think it's going to be a really volatile year. I think it's going to go all over the place. I think we're going to have some really low periods and then it'll shoot back up, kind of like it did last year. I'm hoping we'll get some more low periods and that the overall trend will be down. But I think that we're going to have the same kind of thing where it'll, drop down for a week or two maybe, and then it'll jump right back up. So I think it's just one of those things that we're going to have to really be on top of for refinances and locking things in. Obviously, I could be wrong. There's a lot of unsurety right now, or people not. That's not a word. There's a lot of people unsure about what's going to happen right now, and a lot of policy changes and things. So that could cause some people to be more nervous about the market and cause rates to drop, or it could go the opposite way and rates could go up. So I do think that we're going to be similar to last year with those kind of peaks and valleys and going up and down. It's not going to be just a downward trend. They're not going to be back to 2s or 3s ever. Probably, I'm not going to say never again, but some bad things would have to be going on for us to get back there. So I think if we can see, high 5s, low 6s, we're going to be in a good place.
Yeah. Shakira, what have you heard?
I haven't heard much of anything. One thing I always tell people is rent is 100% interest. So
yeah.
I feel like, regardless, renters are tired of renting. They want to start building equity. And I do think that the $25,000 Detroit down payment assistance will come back at some point. So I think like even if the interest rates go up, go down, it will still be those programs where people want to stop renting. I have a few buyers right now that they're getting down payment assistance. They don't even care about the interest rate. They just want to get something for their family. So I think people will continue to buy regardless if they go up or down.
And like you said, I mean, it's the same thing for investors or for, if you're buying for yourself, it's, if the money makes sense, it makes sense. You just have to look at the rate as a cost of doing business. It's just a part of it. And you want to make sure that you're qualifying and you can afford what the payment is right now. You're not looking forward to say, okay, I can afford this as long as the rates drop, and then I'm going to buy it assuming the rates are going to drop. You never want to get yourself in that position. So as long as you can afford it with where the rates are right now, any something where the rates come down or is just extra money in your pocket, whether you're a home buyer or an investor. You want to make sure that you're, qualifying off of where we're at right now and kind of the realistic view of where we're at. And then be ready with somebody, a broker, whoever you're working with, that as soon as the rates drop, you're ready to move and make that change to get you the better position.
Yeah, that's really good. So I kind of want to tackle this part. And, I'm really passionate about this part. My honey and I are celebrating 24 years today. Yay.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary. Congratulations.
Thank you. We're dividing and conquering. He's out on business and we're going to celebrate on Wednesday. But, I was thinking about it. I was talking to a couple yesterday and the guy is really, really excited about it. His fiance is a little more skeptical. And I see this a lot when it comes to investing, whether it's real estate or stocks or crypto or any of the asset classes where you have one spouse that's like, yay, let's do it. And then you have another spouse that's like, well, I don't know. Da, da, da. And what I always say is that I think that every person, especially women, and I feel this way about men too, but everybody really needs to have their own financial independence. Because I think it is inhumane and disrespectful to yourself to not be able to do something that you financially instinctively really want to do, but your spouse says no. I'm like, respect their no, respect his no, respect her no, whether you're a guy or girl, but you need to respect your yes. And I'm very passionate about that because like my honey, he's had a lot of success in a lot of areas, but honest to God, he was not interested in investing in the city of Detroit. He grew up very, very poor. And he's just like, I know that's not what I want to do, and I respected that. But I was like, but I do. And I am, you know what I mean? And I did. And now I've built, a very strong 7-figure portfolio by the grace of God. But what if his no would have been my no? And I think that we don't see as many as women. There are women, female investors for sure. But when you look at the totality of the entire pie, you don't see as many. We're a small percentage in comparison to the men. And my message to women and men is you need to trust your own financial instinct. When you can build a strong portfolio in real estate, I think it is one of the most stable, bullish assets of all the other assets. Gold and silver is great. I play in that. Stocks are great. I play in that. Crypto is great. I play in that. The what do you call it? Volatility in those other asset classes are also a lot higher. You make the money on the swing, right? So I'm not mad at the swings, but when I look at real estate, even if you're in a season where it seems like it's consolidating, that means that it doesn't seem like there's a lot of price appreciation. Eventually, you're going to look up, people like, dang, we up, bro. Yo. So talk about, from your standpoint, why is it important for individuals, women particularly? I will say this to men too, because like I said, the guy, I could tell he was kind of struggling. He really wanted to do it. He's like, I was like, is she about to shut him down? I was like, oh, child. I cannot. But anyway, from your standpoint, why is it so important for people to trust their own financial instinct? And for women particularly to keep moving forward and join a community like a Setified where you're going to get the support, you're going to get the direction?
Well, I'll go first. For me, I bought my first house in 2009. It was $16,000, like fully move-in ready. I just painted and that's it. That house now is worth about like $250. So like, where else can you like make that much money like passively? And like for me, like I'm an employee, I work at a job, and I just think, especially in this climate that's geared towards business owners, like why it's kind of to me like a no-brainer. Like any business you can be successful, but real estate, you can fail in it, but with a Setified and with the proper support, you're not going to fail because we know how to pivot. It's somebody in a group that's experienced, it's nothing new here. Like, oh, this didn't go how we planned. Okay, this is how we're going to work it. And for me, I think it's important just for everybody to like having a 9 to 5 is cool and everybody's not meant to be an entrepreneur, but real estate is the way to like build your legacy and stuff. And I see it all the time. I have someone now, their grandmother left them a house that's worth like 300,000. They're using that real estate to open up a nonprofit. And like they went through the program that I learned about at the Monopoly conference. And we went with Tina. So it's more than just real estate, like just having a camaraderie and having somebody to call. Like you can lose a lot of money if you make the wrong move. So like why not learn from somebody else's mistake?
Yeah. No, that's what we did. We did a big pivot on a house that you put up on the market for me. And it was smart because it just wasn't selling at the price that I needed to sell it. And I kept going down and down. And then Shakira was like, "What are you doing? You're going to mess up the comps." I was like, "Yeah." And I'm going to mess up my profit if I don't stop. And so I took it off the market and put it back on the market, land contract. And in a week or two, we got exactly what I was asking for. The deals worked out great. Title's holding it in escrow. I can still refi it, which I'm going to refi it. It's going to reduce the purchase price. It's going to reduce the note. And so it's going to give me more cash flow. And, God forbid if something happens and she defaults on it, I still have an asset with increased equity. So, that was a pivot that we made. Star, you and I were doing a deal and we were set to close. And the day before we were about to close, you're like, "This lender's backing out." I was like, "What?" And you like, wait a minute, and you said, "Call this guy." And we got some private money and we made it happen. That was relationship. If we wouldn't have been in a relationship, I don't know if you would have gave me your private money guy. You know what I'm saying? And so relationship is really, really important when it comes to this. So Star, that person who's kind of shaky, really wants to do it, but spouse doesn't want to do it or partner doesn't want to do it or whatever, what would you kind of say to them?
I mean, I think it's really important to honor, your relationships and know where they stand and know what you financially can do on your own. I have, a retirement fund money investment account that I'm working on for my own stuff, whether, but I also think, and something that I can remember, I think Phil or you said it, and it was January last year, sitting downtown Detroit, talking about surrounding yourself with people that are doing what you want to be doing and putting yourself in the right room. I think if you are feeling that in your gut, that that's something you want to do, and surrounding yourself with people that are already doing it, whatever it is, whether it's investing or painting, I don't know. But especially investing where you do need somebody to do it with you. I think being in the room with people that are doing it is going to make you more likely to take that leap and more likely to feel comfortable taking that leap. Especially like as women, I feel like we need that community around us. Like you're going to feel better. You're going to feel, more supported. We're here to have that community to bring us up. It's not something that, we're not brought up necessarily to talk about money all the time, to talk about our finances, to feel comfortable talking about our finances, maybe in the same way that men are, or at least in my family, like that was not something we talked about. It was just like taboo. You don't talk about money. So I think being in rooms where those conversations are happening is so important to get you started and to kind of push you on that path.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good. And I tell people, you have to do what works for your relationship. But child, when I married my husband, he already knew. I was like, listen. Well,